Hey everyone, welcome to our beginner's guide on building your first outpost in the vast universe of Starfield. In this tutorial, we'll be discussing the basics of building an outpost, including finding locations and some other tips and tricks, so let's dive right in. Creating an outpost in Starfield allows you to set up a base of operations and gather resources more efficiently. It will also allow you to create automated factories and set up delivery routes to either create more building resources or generate a steady revenue. And while this can be done as well on your ship or at the lodge, you can also build your base to conduct research to unlock various technological advancements. Before you can go ahead and even think about building your first outpost, you will need to go and gather resources. You can either purchase them from vendors or collect them manually using tools like cutters or even your ship. Many vendors will have a reasonable selection of minerals and resources. You can purchase the resources you need, and if you still need more, you can go ahead, sit down somewhere and then wait 24 hours for the vendor to restock. It is also possible to manually mine and craft the resources you need. Each planet will have a selection of native ores you can see even before you land. And once you find the planet you want, you can then roam the surface or its cave and mine the minerals one by one. It is also possible to get some quick minerals from asteroid fields when you come across them, although they only give you a limited variety of resources. After a while, you will start to recognize which type of asteroid will give what resource. For example, the porous-looking asteroids seem to be holding mainly iron with a chance of a rare ore, while the smoother asteroids mainly seem to be containing water. Okay, now depending on what planet you will build, what you will build, and how you will power it, will decide what resources and materials you need. My advice would be to focus your first outpost to be mining outpost and have them mine the resources you will need the most for building other outposts. A few of the most common resources you will need are iron and aluminium, so it might be a good idea to build the first outpost on a planet with these deposits. Before we go and find a planet and a location for it, let me share with you all the resources I will need to build this. Now you will notice there's two columns, one is for solar power, the other one is for wind powered, and I will explain shortly why you would like to go for one or the other power source. Now let's go and start looking for a suitable planet for our mining outpost. By traveling to a star system, it is possible for you to hover over each planet there and see what deposits they have. Below in the information sheet of each planet, you can see each element that you can find on it. Once you find a planet you think would be ideal for your outpost, we can travel towards that planet. Only when in the orbit of the planet, it will be possible to scan the planet's surface for the locations of the deposits. However, as you can see, as a beginning player, you only will see the primary deposits shown and not the rarer ones. For the moment, this should not be a problem as we only are looking for aluminium and iron anyway. However, if you want to be able to scan more thoroughly, you can always unlock more skills in the skill tree. With each unlock of this skill, scanning, you will be allowed to scan more deeply and show you more resource deposits on the planet. Each patch of color represents one of the deposit areas. This reddish brown is iron and this grayish green is aluminium. These markings are however more of an indication of where the highest chance is for finding that deposits. And you will notice when you click on one of the areas as a landing spot, the window on the right will let you know what biome the deposit is found in. Iron seems to be mainly located in the mountainous area, while aluminium is found in the rocky desert. Now this can vary per planet. So it is possible to find the deposits you need even in the uncolored areas of the planet. By clicking on the planet's surface, you can see what biome you placed a landing marker at, and it is possible to set your marker at the border of 2 biomes, or if you're lucky or good, even 3 or more. As you can see here, my marker is currently in the mountains, but by shifting that marker bit by bit towards the rocky desert, I can find the approximate border between the biomes. Now, believe me, it is not as simple as it might sound or look. Finding locations where different biomes and deposits meet will depend much on patience and luck. Once you find the locations where 2 biomes meet, you can land the ship there. The thing is, the ship is not gonna land exactly at where you dropped your marker at. No, you will land your ship at a decent landing zone, which makes sense as you cannot expect your massive ship to land on a tip of a mountain or on the side of it, but it will land somewhere nearby. So now it's up to you to go and search for those deposits. The first thing we want to find is where the 2 biomes meet. Now some biomes will be easier to spot the difference than the others, but on Bessel you can see a clear difference between the mountains and the rocky desert. Once you've found the boundary between the biomes, you can now follow that border and look for the deposits. And there's 2 ways you can do this. The first one is by using your scanner and surveying the planet. When a deposit is near, you will see the terrain marked with the color representing the source. When you start a new game, that radius of the scanner will be pretty narrow, and if you wish to enlarge that radius, there is another skill you can unlock and improve, which is surveying. This skill will also allow you to scan flora, fauna and resources from further away. But to be honest, even with that skill unlocked on its maximum, I still feel that the radius is pretty minimal and makes it challenging to find that perfect location. That is why I prefer to use the second method. This is by activating your Outpost beacon and walking around on the planet's surface with it. To activate the Outpost beacon, you can press the button to activate your scanner, which should be F on your PC, and then activate your build menu, which should be R on PC. Now you should see in the upper left corner which deposits can be found in the radius of that Outpost beacon. By moving the beacon around, you should now be able to find the perfect location for the collection of multiple resources. The goal of this base is to find a location where we can both extract iron and aluminium. Once you have found your location, you can just place the beacon by pressing E. While you easily could build an outpost that mines iron and another one that mines aluminium, the amount of outposts you can build is limited, so if you can combine different mining extractors in one base, that is more efficient. Once the beacon has been placed, you can now see a radius and where you will be able to build and also where you will be able to find your deposits in. Okay, I waited until daylight a bit before we could continue building, so we have a little bit more view of what we're doing. Now, the beacon is here placed. What we can do, if you want to go to this beacon, you can rename it. Also, you can remove your outpost. If you keep on pressing R, rename outpost or remove outpost, holding will remove the outpost. It will, of course, ask you if you are sure of that. If you do this, it will remove every building part that is also linked to this beacon. That means everything will disappear. You will get your resources back, so it either goes into your inventory or into your ship's inventory. So you will not lose anything. Now, we don't want to, of course, remove it. We just want to rename it. And what we're going to be calling this, we're going to call this the FE Alu Mining Outpost. There we go. So now this is now renamed. We'll see this now. If we enter the planet, we will see where this outpost is. And now what we're going to do, we're going to start building. You can either start building by just pressing E. When you're near the beacon and you aim at it, you can see there's a button that says E. If I press E, it's going to activate the building menu and we can just start building straight away. If you are not nearby, you cannot press E, it will not activate. So you just press scanner mode, then you go to your R, as you can see, outpost, just build R, and then you're going to go into a build menu. I'm going to press V to toggle to the camera. So now we can move around. Now, I'm going to be honest here, building with mouse and keyboard is a little bit of a hassle. I would say if you have a controller, then I would definitely plug one in and use the controller to build. It's going to feel much more user-friendly compared with the mouse and keyboard. I've been pretty frustrated every time when I want to try to place something or rotate or zoom in and out. Yeah. Now, as this is a planet with a very thin atmosphere, there will be hardly any power generated by these wind turbines. Means that we will use solar panels. As you can see, they give us 3 power. The solar panels will give us 4. Now, we will need about 30 power when we're done with this base. So what we're going to be building, we're going to be building 8 solar panels. And you can see it produces 4 power. 8 solar panels, which is going to give us 32. So that's what we're going to do. Now, before we build these solar panels, we should definitely check the locations of our deposits. So let's go to the aluminium. You can see we have aluminium right here. Nice patch. And we have iron, which should be here as well. A nice patch. So what we could do, we could build our solar panels right here, out of the way of everything. So let's do that. So yeah, like I said, use a controller to build because it's so much easier. This is painful. As a builder that likes to have things lined up, nice on a grid, keyboard and mouse is just annoying. With a controller, you can easily zoom in and out, just slightly move your pieces. Make sure it's nicely aligned with the other parts. Yeah, I would advise a controller for building. There we go. So now we have 8 solar panels. That is going to provide 32 power. If you look at the bottom there, you can see it is total power 32. For the moment, we don't need any power, but that's going to change soon. So first we know we're going to do is build our extractors. So let's go to our extractors right here. And we start with the aluminium and we're going to build 3 aluminium extractors here. Now you can see there's like this circle around the extractor. You see this yellow circle. that is the radius that you cannot build around. So that means if I would build a, let me just build an extractor right here on the edge, like that, you'll see I will not be able to build this extractor until I'm out of that radius that it was showing. So we're going to build that just outside of the radius. And we're going to do another one about here. All right, there we go. So now we have 3 aluminum extractors. Go to the other side and we're going to build 3 iron extractors as well. So now we have our 3 extractors for iron. We have our 3 extractors for aluminum, and that should be enough for now. Now, these extractors don't have a lot of internal storage, which means we're going to have to add more. As you can see, these extractors only can hold a mass of 11. So that's not a lot. So we should build some storage containers to make sure that we can, have a good buffer of resources when we need them. Now, both of the extractors will be mining ores, which is a solid. That means we need a solid container to store it in. If you would be pumping up some water, for example, then you could be using the liquid containers or any other liquids you pop up. If you're using any gas, let's say helium, for example, then you would have to build a container that can store that gas. And finally, we have the warehouse storage, which is allowing you to put any of your fabricated items in there. For example, adaptive frames, zero wire, things like that. And while you can store a lot of this manually in these containers, the main function of these storage containers will be to combine them with fabricators, so they automatically store what they fabricated into that warehouse. Now, the transfer container is what is going to allow you to transfer items, resources, buildables between your base and your starship. Now, this is more optional than necessary if you don't feel like you need it. If you just want the basic outpost, you can skip that. You don't need to build it. But the materials are included in the list I shared with you to build both that and a landing pad later on. But let us begin by building our storage. Now, if we look closely to this container, you will see there's going to be like this pipe connection in front and in the back. These sides are always going to be free. You will never be able to snap anything against this side and this side. You will only be able to snap something on this side and that side. So take this in account before you start placing the containers, so you know in which direction they are aimed, so you know also in which direction they will start snapping. So I'm going to build a container right here, on here. And then we're going to pull back so that we can build another container right here. So this is going to be our iron, and the other one is going to be our aluminum. We're going to build 2 containers as we do have enough resources. There we go. So now these will need to be linked up. So just press the button to modify. You can see there's a tab. Modify. Then you go to your extractor you want to connect. So let's take the back one here. You can see there's another option there that says create output link. Mouse 2 for me. I just pull this towards the container. And we're going to snap it all to this first container right here. And it will become clear soon enough why we're doing that. So we're going to place one here. We're going to place the other one as well to that container. And the third container, the third extractor, can be snapped on this container as well. There we go. So now all these 3 extractors are going to send their resources to this container and fill this up. Now, these containers are not connected. They are not interacting with each other. So I need to pull a connection from this one to that one and place it. So what's now going to happen? This is going to be sent to this container, but because we just connected that one, all the resources from this container will now first fill up this container first. So it will always go to the last container in the sequence and then fill up gradually until it's at the beginning of the container. So if I build another container here and I connect it again, then all of that will first fill up the container here and then continue going back. Now, if you pull a connector wire or a connector cable, you always have to pull in the direction you want it to go. If I would pull one from here and then pull it to this extractor, this will not work as I cannot transfer to the harvester. So we need to pull from the harvester to the container. And once you connected the extractors for your iron to your containers, you are pretty much set and done. This is a functional base. You can just go and collect the resources out of the containers, put them in your ship, or keep building where you are at. But what would be nice is be able to just transfer some of that to your ship easily without having to bother about, being over encumbered or what else. So the only thing we can do for that is then build a cargo transport. And I don't know what the name was again. Let me just go to tab. And we're looking for the transfer container here. This one here will allow you to transfer between the base and your ship. But you also need a landing pad, which is what we get to it. So what we want to make sure of is that this container, we have enough space if we want to expand on that. So I'm going to make sure that I have a little bit more container space here. Then I'm going to place that cargo transfer container right here. And if you look close, you will see it looks a little bit like one of these forklifts that lifts up when we want to bring cargo over to our location. All right, so we need now to connect these two containers to this cargo transfer. That is done very simply by just doing the connection again. So we pull a link from here to the cargo container here. And the same from here to here. And now everything will be stored in this cargo link first. So even these here will now empty in here. Once this is full, then these two will fill up. Then when these two are filled up, then these two will fill up as well. And then finally the extractors will fill up as well. That is now how it works. If I want to add more containers in the future, I will have to remove these output links, build more of containers, then link these all together, and then the last container has to be linked to that transfer container here. Now, the final thing we want to do is also build ourselves a landing pad. Sadly enough, I have tried using this one here. It says only work for ships under 40 meter. It does not work for your ship. It only works for like if you're doing trading and stuff like that. I need to look into this further. So the only landing pad that's going to work for you is this one right here. This is the landing pad with ship builder. So if you want to build some adaptive frames, you can actually go to the lodge and go to the industrial workbench and build yourself some adaptive frames. This is the lodge on the cellar. You can use this workbench to build adaptive frames. So if you go and open this up, you will see adaptive frames right here. You can build these because sometimes you just don't want to buy from a vendor because it takes too much time for them to restock and you have to wait every time. Especially now that we have our mine working, you will easily be able to get your iron and aluminium and you can build the adaptive frames for your landing pad very easily. And we're going to place it right here so it looks a little bit like we can transfer over our resources to that like that. That's perfect. And we built it. All right, so now we have done all that. Later when we land the ship on top of this landing pad, and then we can just collect the resources from out of this in the future. So how do you get your ship on top of this? Now you can either go and fly and out of space and then land again on the landing pad. That can work, but you can also just go to the terminal right here, which is like a ship builder control. So you just activate, you say view and modify ships. And now what we're going to do, we're going to switch to the frontier. We're going to say make a home ship. And I'm going to go back to my Star Eagle and then make that my home ship. And now if I go out, so there your ship is there. If your ship doesn't show up, it might happen your ship doesn't show up or you only see the little marker or whatever. You can see it, I have a mission going, so it shows my ship. If that doesn't show up, just go to quick save, then load again and your ship should be on the landing bay. And now we can go to our cargo hold here, right here. And now you can see if I go through my inventory, there we go. FE Aluminium Mining Outpost. I can now go and check my, if I click on that, my resources, and I can take these out and put them into my ship if I want to. The next thing we want to do is actually focus on building our a little bit of a hub. Now you can build it in several locations if you want to, but I might actually just build it right next to here so we have an easy access if I jump out of my ship and I want to quickly go into the outpost. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go inside my ship so we don't get the effects of the radiation as much. And then we can now build. So let's go to our structures. Here we go. And now we can build our structures as we want to build them. Now, as you can see here, there is a weird thing. I was hoping this would actually be able to snap together, like allow me to snap my buildings against a landing bay. But that doesn't work. There are a few tricks you can do is by just, you know, allowing this to merge just on the sides if I do this, you will see that I can actually just rotate it in such a way it is almost hitting the landing bay. So I'm gonna get as close as possible. And I'm using controller for the fine tuning because seriously, if you're using your mouse, it's definitely not easy. Let's place it. Now we're gonna go closer a little bit so we have a bit of a better view. We're gonna raise it up, and it's at a certain point you will see the platform is gonna go out and it's gonna get red. So we're just gonna slide it until we are like perfectly lined up. There we go. That should be enough. I'm just gonna build this, and now I can go and check. Just double check the level. But I think that looks pretty okay. That's going to allow me to just walk straight into this. There's not too much, you know. There's a little bit of a gap, but that should work. I mean, that should work. We can just easily get to the access point. I'm hoping there is either mods in the future or the game that brings us a position where we can actually link up our bases towards the landing bay. Now, on the outside of this, we're going to build our hubs. We have several hubs. We have the hydronic, science hub, military hub, all of these we can use. Now I have taken the one with lead, sealant and aluminium and the materials you need. You can see if I go to other ones, we could use the science hub. It seems 4 and 6, that seems to be the same. So if you want, you could use the science hub or the 4 wall hub. By the way, you can also switch between. You can see we have one of two. If I switch, this will be a larger one or a smaller one, but it also will need more resources. The same with the hub here, it does change, although this one seems to be the same. So we could go for a science hub, full, flat, small. I'm gonna build it, and that is it. This is the beginning of your outpost. You can expand on that if you want to later in the future, but for the moment that is all you would need. If you want to assign a crew member here, we can now go inside of this hub. This is a nice little area. We can go back into our building menu. So FR. And by the way, if you go into your modify, you can actually change this to a window and it won't cost you anything. So you can see I can add windows to this if you want to have a view outside of what is happening. Now, what we want to do, we want to assign a crew member to here. If you've been playing the game, you should already have probably Lynn as one of your companions, or not companions, one of your crew. You can assign Lynn to your outpost right here, or you could do Heller as well in case you manage to get him. So what I'm going to do, we're going to go open here, we're going to open up our build menu, and we're going to go to the crew station. And we can build this crew station right at the front of the window. Why not? So we have a little bit of a view. There we go. That's all you will need for the moment. Nothing more you need for your crew. You can now go to your ship, go to your crew, go to Lynn. For the moment, she's linked to another outpost where I'm going to go to here. I'm going to assign her to the FE aluminium mining outpost. There we go. So now she will come here in the future and manage this outpost. That will boost normally the mining facility better, and you will get more resources and stuff like that. Now, you might have noticed that I was pretty restricted in building parts. I only had a few hubs, I had a few containers, but not much. And that is because I did not do any research yet. I did not do any unlocking of the building parts yet. So let me explain you quickly how you can do that. First of all, you can unlock more building parts by researching them at the research lab. You can go to Outpost Development, and in Outpost Development, you will now be able to research certain items. For example, I want to learn more about decoration. You can research that. As you can see, I have all the resources here. I can just say, yes, I want to do this one, and just confirm, and confirm. This will now unlock decoration 2. And then we can go back and we can keep on looking for what we can research. Now, as you can see here, these are blocked out, and that is because I need to rank my skill up. If you go to your skill, you can now look for that skill, which is probably science, and that's going to be Outpost Engineering. To unlock Outpost Engineering, I actually have enough. You will have to unlock a whole set of these first before you have access to the next level. So you just say unlock 1, and then if you want to unlock the rank 2, you will have to build 5 different outpost modules, which most likely it might be a smart idea to unlock this before you start building your base, so you can jump over to your second rank quickly. But now if we go back to the research lab, you can see I will now be able to research more building parts. We can go back to our outpost development, then look for everything we want to research, just add the resources we have, and if we don't have them, we will have to craft them. And that is of course on the workbench, or you can also purchase them if you go to the vendors. But that's gonna be it for this guide. By following these simple steps and tips, you should be well on your way to establish a thriving outpost in Starfield. There is much more to be shared about Outpost, but that is best kept for another guide. Maybe I can share how you can set up a network between bases, or how you can use fabricators to make even some passive money, but that's gonna be for next time. I hope you found this guide informative, and I wish you the best of luck. Goodbye for now.